Mac Jones explained what happened on this dirty-looking tackle. There it is. Boom, we circled to make it easier. Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolf, tackle. The aggressive tackle. He's such an aggressive guy. Nick Wright, Kevin Wilds. We got Bucky Brooks in for Chris Broussard. Bucky, thanks for hanging with us. Kevin Wilds, are you buying Mac's excuse?
Jenna, to be honest with you, I'm totally focused on the Cleveland Browns. I only look forward with the Patriots. I don't even remember this place.
Okay, Belichick. Okay. We will get to Mac in a second. We got to start with a little Monday Night Football. Bears, Steelers, and some big controversy out of this one. With the Steelers up 3, under 4 minutes left to play, Bears linebacker Cassius Marsh called for a suspect taunting call after celebrating a sack, then making contact with official Tony Corrente there. It looked more like Corrente bumped into Marsh. The flag for the sideline stare ended up extending a Steelers drive. That resulted in 3 points. That resulted in a Steelers win. They won by 2. After the game, Marsh explaining his side of what happened.
I think it's pretty clear to everybody who saw it that I wasn't taunting. And, like, you know, I've been doing the celebration my whole career, and, you know, it's just sad to see stuff like that happen in a close game like that. It's just rough, man. I don't want to say too much because y'all know how it is, but the one thing that I will say is, you know, on my way to the sideline, I got hip checked by the ref, and it's pretty clear. If I were to do that to a ref or even touch the ref, you know, we get kicked out of the game and possibly suspended and fined. So I just think that that was incredibly inappropriate, and that's all I'll say about that.
Well, Tony Corrente, the ref, addressed the call after the game. He said, first of all, keep in mind that taunting is a point of emphasis this year. And with that, I saw the player, after he made a big play, run toward the bench area of the Pittsburgh Steelers and posture in such a way that I felt he was taunting them. When asked if the contact contributed to the penalty, Corrente said, no, not at all. I didn't judge that as anything I dealt with. Nick's already fired up, so let's start right there. Did the refs cost the Chicago Bears this football game?
Well, this whole thing is such a damn shame, because what we should be, on a day we're lucky enough to have Bucky Brooks, what we should be starting today's show with is discussing the arrival of Justin Fields. Because in a just world, that would be the story from yesterday. But the potential first franchise quarterback the Bears have had since Sid Luckman, was this the moment he arrived? But unfortunately, as is far too often the case, when it comes to the most popular, profitable, and viewed sport in the world, we're talking about the lowest paid and seemingly least competent members of the whole operation, and that's the officiating. This whole thing is embarrassing. And I do want to give the NFL credit. The crackdown on taunting, fixing a problem that I didn't think existed, but the powers that be said it did, has worked. There is less post-play jawing. There is less standing over guys. But the natural ripple effect of cracking down on something is going to have this nonsense, where in Tony Corrente's own words, he flagged him for improper posture, as if this is Mary's Manners class that you take after social studies to learn where your fork and soup spoon go. It's nonsense. And then it is very difficult, Bucky, for me to view this entire interaction here as not peacocking by the ref, up to and including his posture of throwing the flag. A little flourish of, oh, look what I have here. Magic wand out of my pocket. I hate it. And so I feel sick for the Bears. I feel sick for Justin Fields. I feel badly for, you know, if there's an AFC team that doesn't get the 7th playoff spot, because Pittsburgh gets it because of this game. None of it sits right. None of it feels right. And it was a continuation, Bucky, of some very, very tough calls going against the Bears all night.
Okay, so look, I understand the taunting penalty has really drawn the eye of everybody around the Twitterverse and the media world. But here's what I'm going to say. How long does Cassius Marsh get to celebrate a sack? He did a spinning kick. He looked at his guys. He dapped up his guys. Then he took 8 steps to the sideline. He stared at the sideline. I mean, at some point, he has to go to the other side. Okay, we got to spin. We got to look. Okay, my guys come around. Then I skip-de-doo to the sideline. I look at their sideline, and then I walk back. At some point, he has to go to his sideline. And I understand this, and I refuse to let Cassius Marsh and the Bears off the hook. You had 12 penalties for 115 yards. I mean, my guy Wiles knows. The Patriots talk about DBOs, don't beat ourselves.
But how many
penalties,
of them were
turnovers, and those things. I mean, look, you got Robert Quinn jumping offsides twice in the final drive. You have Cassius Marsh with this Michael Jackson celebration.
What about the phantom one that took a touchdown away? What about the 15-yard phantom unnecessary roughness that took a touchdown away? What about this? Oh, my God. Look at the brutality suffered by T.J. Watt.
Don't play the right way. They didn't play the right way. I mean, so they didn't deserve the right to win.
I'm shocked T.J. Watt didn't need a stretcher after that one. It didn't even out. It cost them the game. This took a touchdown off the board, and Wiles just... I'm sorry, let me just say one other thing here. Because right after that T.J. Watt phantom low block call took a touchdown off the board, on consecutive plays, Justin Fields gets lit up, and the refs do nothing. And Wiles, my general rule of thumb on game-changing penalties, the previous one's even worse. The previous one's even worse, but you could say he was a runner. But regardless, general rule of thumb on discretionary game-changing penalties, Wiles, is if I don't throw this flag, will people be clamoring, demanding that it be thrown? No one, if they don't throw a taunting penalty on Cassius Marsh, is anyone this morning saying, oh, Bears escaped after Cassius Marsh's incredibly violent posture? I mean, it just sent shockwaves down the Steelers sideline. Is anyone saying that, Wild?
I think that's a fair way to look at it. But I have zero sympathy for the Bears. In fact, I'm in a sympathy deficit when it comes to the Bears. Have we not talked about the taunting penalty enough, Jenna? We talk about it every single week. Do we not know that taunting is going to be called and that it's a point of emphasis? Oh, Wilds, it's an emotional game. You don't know what it's like to be out there. Yeah, I get it. I'm not a football player. You know what else is hard to do? Not jumping off sides. Oh, you've got to sit here like this. You're about to crash into a 300-pound man with all of the energy that you've ever worked for in your life. And if you go, offsides, laxative, just stupid play. He went like this. He went like this. Cost him the game. So if we are expecting that amount of discipline from the offensive and defensive line, I think after you do a spinning karate kick and what Bucky referred to as a skippity-doo, that it's all right. Don't haunt the Steelers sideline. There's no sympathy.
Okay.
Nick, we know this. So, all right. We talked about it a thousand times.
That's fine. So Bucky and Wilds are making the argument that these guys, in the emotional crucible that is NFL games, Cassius Marsh, who was just on the street and made a game-changing play, he needs to keep his emotions in check. That's fine. Can I just ask a question to the right side of the screen? Can the same standard be held for the 50-something-year-old men calling the game to not throw a little left cheek, right cheek into Cassius Marsh on his way to the sideline? Is that fair? Can we ask? What is this from Tony Correnti? I'm just curious. What did he? Was he afraid he was going to step on a snail? Can anyone defend that? Or are we just going to act like that's not part of the story? Can anyone defend it? I'm just curious.
I mean,
no. Okay, that's a no. That's a no. The answer to that is a no. Well, incidental contact. He's the ref, not a player. There's no incidental contact. He's the official. You guys are out of your minds.
All right.
You're out of your minds.
The Pittsburgh Steelers win their fourth straight
I'm yelling.
Thanks to us, Bucky called a little skip-diddy-doo by the Chicago Bears. By the way, all 4 AFC North teams above 500 through 9 weeks. How about that? All right, let's talk some Mac Jones now.